Hi and welcome back to our channel and the next video in the Bermuda Expat series. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you everything that we wish we had known and fully understood before we moved to Bermuda. The first thing to know before moving to the island is the island time. In Bermuda everything moves a bit slower than what you're probably used to, so it's a good idea to get used to the fact that everything is likely to take quite a bit longer than you think. You will also quickly find out that opening hours are shorter and sometimes irregular. We will still sometimes get caught up and turn up somewhere only to find that the place is closed for the day. Some small shops even close for an hour at lunch, so the staff member who's working for the day can get some lunch. This is not necessarily a bad thing, but just something that we had to get adjusted to and are more aware of now. In general, the pace of the island is slow, but it's actually more relaxed too. Second on the list of things to know before moving to Bermuda is the amount of administration that is required to get everything set up and maintained. Just like moving to any new place, we needed to set up bank accounts, health insurance, driver's license, utilities, and so much more. However, this seemed to take forever with lots of hoops that needed to be jumped through. Given the shorter opening hours and relaxed timings, completing all the admin tasks was very frustrating early on, and I think we both had to make 3 separate visits to the bank in order to set up our accounts. Also, no matter which country you're arriving from, you'll need to retake a driving theory exam and pass the exam in order to get a moped or a car. Just before I move on to the next point, if you're enjoying this video, give a thumbs up and subscribe to get posted when there's a new video. Third on our list is the Bermuda weather and climate. We definitely already had a good idea on what Bermuda climate would be like. However, we now realize that knowing what to expect and then experiencing it is really different. You should definitely prepare yourselves for rain and chilly north winds during the winter season, very strong UV rays in the summer along with 100% humidity. Don't forget a few potential hurricanes each year as well. Moving on to the next thing to know before moving to the island is unfortunately road safety. There are quite a lot of avoidable road accidents on the island. There are probably lots of reasons for this, but being completely honest, it does seem like there is a fair amount of unnecessary dangerous driving. Now, I will say this obviously doesn't apply to everyone, but the amount of times I see dangerous maneuvers in the roads are far too frequent. And I'm not talking about someone going slightly faster than the speed limit either. I'm talking about bikes and cars overtaking on blind corners, driving extremely close to the cars in front regardless of how fast the cars are going, and passing in the red lights as well. On top of this, there are not many pathways and sidewalks in Bermuda. This means that you often have to directly walk on the roads. Number 5 on our list is that there are only a few destinations with direct flights and in and out from the island each week. This is not a major problem, but if you do like to travel, then it will either limit the places you can easily get access to or add extra layers of complications for every extra changeover flight that you need to take. Some of the direct flights are seasonal too, which means that there are even fewer easy options during the off-season. With such limited number of options, this does tend to push the prices up a little bit too. So just something to be aware of beforehand. Keeping things on moving, our next point on the list for things to know before moving to Bermuda is the extremely dangerous, wild and scary wildlife that exists here. No, I'm just joking. Luckily, there are a few creatures that you need to be aware of. Yeah. And the main animal that we didn't know about is the Portuguese man-o-war. This is actually a jellyfish-like creature that often gets washed up to Bermuda sandy shores between March and May each year. It has very long venomous tentacles, but it is very rare to get the sting and the sting to cause fatalities. But it is worth avoiding. If you're planning on swimming around the coral reefs regularly, then you should learn as much as about them possible and stay safe, but in general there isn't much to be scared in the water. Back on the island, you'll notice like a lot of whistling noises at night, and these are like very tiny, cute, completely harmless tree frogs. Apart from getting adjusted to the sound when you're trying to sleep, there is nothing to be feared of. The only other creatures to be aware of are ants, maggots and cockroaches. They are also harmless, but certainly I'm not a big fan of either of them, and there is a lot of them. The best way to avoid them is to keep your kitchen clean and remove any traces of the food as soon as possible. Another point that we have mentioned in our other videos is that most of the houses in Bermuda collect their rainwater from the roof and store it in a tank underneath the property. This just means that there is a limited amount of water, and it is possible to run out of the water if you're not using it responsibly. So taking long bubbly baths every day is not a great idea. Our final point on the list is that it is sometimes difficult to find everything that you want on the island. This just means that either you have to find something similar, ship something onto the island, or simply go without it. When it comes to everyday essentials, Bermuda has actually a lot of different options for such a small island. However, it can become quite noticeable when you're looking and trying to find something that is a little bit more specific or unusual. Ultimately, this means you just need to plan ahead as much as possible so that you can order anything you need to be shipped into Bermuda far enough in advance that you can get a hold of it when you may need it, as well as paying a lot of tax on it. That actually wraps up everything that we wish we had known or understood in greater detail before we moved here. That being said, do we regret our decision to move to the island? Definitely not. We are incredibly lucky and fortunate to call this place our home now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos about our life in Bermuda. See you soon. Bye.